Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 772 relating to corporal punishment in public schools. Currently, corporal punishment is legal in schools in Texas. State law does not prohibit the use of corporal punishment in public schools, and the decision is therefore left to each individual school district. Corporal punishment is defined as deliberate infliction of physical pain by hitting, paddling, spanking, slapping, or other physical forces used to meet means for discipline. Corporal punishment has been banned in several Texas independent school districts, but not all. So HB 772 prohibits the use of corporal punishment as a form of discipline in Texas public education system. Madam Chair, I think we have persons who want to testify, and I reserve the right to close.
I am for the bill.
You have 3 minutes to tell us your position.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for taking your time to listen to me. My name is Cindy Decker. I am for Bill 772. I am a mother of 3 children, 2 of which have graduated out of the Texas public school system, thankfully, are now in college. And I have an 11-year-old son who's a 5th grader in the Texas education system with autism spectrum disorder. You can imagine my surprise when I had 2 children that had now been in school long before my 11-year-old started school, and I had no idea that there was still corporal punishment within the Texas school system. My 11-year-old son, as an autism spectrum disorder special needs child, had a situation where, in being dysregulated in school one day, was retained and restrained onto a chair. Weeks later, as I was giving him a bath, I realized that my son had bruising on his arms, and I was never notified of what happened to him and why he had bruises on his arms. These are the youngest of our children. They're the most vulnerable of our children. And I will tell you that in 2020, I know there's a bit of a whistle, sorry. In 2020, Disability Rights Texas examined statewide data and found that students with disabilities experienced 91% of all restraints done in our Texas public school system, and they make up only 10% of our student population. So once again, I ask you to please go for Bill 772 in order to protect our most vulnerable children.
Yes. You may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Morgan Craven. I'm the National Director of Policy, Advocacy, and Community Engagement at IDRA, and I'm testifying in support of House Bill 772, a very important bill that would ban corporal punishment in Texas public schools. And a huge thank you to this committee for hearing this bill and to Dr. Allen for making this important issue part of your life's work. When Texas public school districts adopt corporal punishment policies, adults are able to spank, paddle, slap, or hit children to discipline them. And in 2017-18, that meant 468 Texas public school districts had corporal punishment policies. Over 13,000 Texas kids were hit in their schools more than 21,000 times, and that should be alarming to everyone. Not only has corporal punishment been shown to be ineffective and even counterproductive as a discipline tool, but it causes harm to children and makes school environments less safe in nearly every way you could imagine. Corporal punishment can lead to serious physical injuries, long-lasting negative effects on children's mental health, and is associated with lower academic achievement and higher rates of school dropout. It is disproportionately used against Black students and children with disabilities. It can undermine the authority of adults and make it more difficult for them to establish positive relationships with students, which we know is a critical component of school safety. And corporal punishment models violence as a system of conflict resolution and can prevent schools from investing in the evidence-based strategies that we know work to support kids and build up safe school climates. The list of negative consequences is long and far-reaching. And I know that you weigh many considerations in policymaking, including who should have the authority to make certain decisions, the cultural or community practices that influence what happens to children in schools, and even your own experiences. But we cannot leave the decision to end corporal punishment in schools to anyone else anymore, and we cannot allow a legacy of harm to persist in our schools, even if some of us experienced it. The most critical consideration, and the one that outweighs all others, is the health and safety of children in their schools. There is no argument strong enough and no policy concern important enough that we should place it above the well-being of kids and above the very clear evidence that corporal punishment in schools is thoroughly and completely harmful to children in school climates. We have a Texas law that promotes and models violence in schools, making them less safe. A law that allows adults to hit kids in schools, some who are as young as 3 and 4 years old, some who are teenage girls, many who have disabilities, a disproportionate number of whom are Black. And we can have all sorts of debates about what's appropriate for children to learn in schools, but we cannot disagree about learning violence. And one clear, easy way to reduce violence in schools to accomplish the mission of this select committee is to pass House Bill 772 and finally eliminate corporal punishment in Texas public schools. You have an issue brief as my written testimony. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about.
And the chair recognizes Representative Allen to close on her bill.
Thank you, Chairwoman Thompson. I want to thank the witnesses who came today to testify. They are certainly clear on minority children are most likely to be, you have corporal punishment used against them, special education kids or those kids with special needs. Corporal punishment has a negative effect on children. It causes dropouts, it causes mental health issues, and it teaches violence. And sometimes that violence comes back to school in the form of shootings, etc., as a form of vengeance. And so this is my 18th year here and my 9th session, and I have filed this bill every time. And one of these days, I'm going to get it passed. People will realize we can no longer abuse children. Too many kids are being killed these days. They're being shot. The number one cause of children's death, I heard this morning on the television, is shooting. We're going to beat them and shoot them and do other things to kids. It's unreal. It's just time that we stop this kind of abuse. I close.